because you get mad when I say a specific number. That's why I try to describe it with words, but I'm not really eloquent enough. Black Lightning is a superhero show on Netflix with a lot of characters.
Black Lightning is a little bit like a grown-up Static Shock.
Ooh. Black Lightning is progressive. It's the future, it's modern, and it's perfect for Black History Month.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to.
You're welcome.
We are joined, as always, by co-founder, co-creator, co-captain Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
Oh, that's me.
We're also joined by entertainer, actress, and screenwriter, Kasturi.
Oh, that's me.
One name needed. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and I'm totally jealous of both of your intros. Way better than mine. I did also think about Static Shock. I was like, wow, he's like a grown-up Static Shock. Perfect.
That's what I said.
I know. So that's about it. That's how we introduce the show, everybody. Now it's time to just have some fun.
See you later, everybody. Bye. We're going to go have fun. Here.
Oh.
So everybody at home, if you'd like us to review a show, in the comments below, just type in WTF and the show. Like if you wanted us to review Black Lightning, you would say WTF Black Lightning, and we're doing it right now. Or else you could say WTF Static Shock, which we also have done. That's one of our previous episodes. Check that out. And WTF, of course, stands for Watch the First. So
me typing on a typewriter because I keep doing this too for some reason.
It doesn't mean what the F.
That's our sneaky little accidental, coincidental thing that we put in there. But
oops.
Yeah. All right. So we are reviewing Black Lightning. The first episode is entitled The Resurrection.
Why?
Well, because we want to make sure everybody is going to like this video. We want to make sure everybody shares it with their friends, comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. You're going to learn a lot more about Kasturi a little later on as well. So stay tuned for that. But until then, we are going to start with my favorite game, in which
only his. That's not my favorite game. I don't hate it, but I do it for him. Really, it's why I do it.
Thank you. That's what friends are for. So this is Michael and I have known each other for over 20 years. So we can usually predict if the other guy liked a series or didn't and why. So we like to predict, and this is a game we call
Predictaments. Ryan loves this segment. He came up with this segment. He also came up with the name Predictaments because we put ourselves in a predicament by making our predictions. Predictaments. Yum.
Wow, that's not predictable at all.
What is predictable is Michael blaming me for that terrible title that I did not come up with. Here we go. So big money. Michael,
I did.
I predict, Michael, that I think you liked this show. I think you liked some elements quite a bit and others less so, but that it averages out to a pretty, respectable score. Kasturi, for reasons not named yet, I predict that you did not like this show. It's a bold prediction, but I'm feeling pretty firm about it. What do you think, Michael?
I should have thought about this beforehand, what Ryan was going to think about this show.
I'll give you a hint. Here's a close-up.
Ryan is kind of sometimes a tough nut to crack, especially he's a huge fan of superhero stuff. He always wants to watch all these superhero shows, but sometimes the shows are better, sometimes they're worse. But I think he tends to lean towards the side of liking the shows. So I'm going to go out on a limb and make another bold prediction and say that Ryan did like this show. He's not overwhelmingly enamored with it, but he did like it. He's on the plus side. Kasturi, I don't know anything about you. I'm just meeting you for the first time, but to go in a completely different direction from Ryan, I'm going to say that you did like it.
The contrarian. Now, Kasturi, you don't know Michael very well. However, go ahead and make your predictions.
My prediction is that Ryan, you did like the show. You liked the show so much so that you wore headphones that kind of matched the style of Black Lightning's uniform. The whole neon green, twisty kind of, you did that on purpose. Michael, I predict that you did not love the show. I predict you were indifferent a bit. You didn't hate it, but you definitely didn't really like it. You have your discrepancies and your reservations. Yeah, those are my predictions.
Now, everybody at home, you've gotten some hints. So in the live chat right now, make your predictions. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Michael the Contrarian liked it? Do you think Kasturi liked it? Put in the live chat right now and or in the comments below. I can hear Michael playing with his computer mouse because he is ready. While you're typing away feverishly at your predictions, he's going to be telling us what this show is even about.
A crusading school principal gets back into action as the original African-American electrical superhero. In this episode, a former superhero with the power to control and harness lightning, Jefferson Pierce, otherwise known as Black Lightning, unrolls the secrets of his past to protect the city and his family.
I think you scared Kasturi away.
She likes it. She likes it.
I was watching her eyes and she was looking at me like, is this normal? She was like watching you and she would go.
No, I love it.
Like, is this
so theatrical? I love it.
Yes.
It made me actually think, dang, what am I going to do? Because that was great.
You don't have to. He takes care of it for us. We're safe.
It's done.
He does all the heavy lifting. Okay.
Nice.
So now we are going to play a game. Michael, just go ahead and tell them, and don't tell them that I came up with this name because I never would.
Ryan and I both came up with this name together. Ryan came up with the first part and I came up with the second part. We call this game, what we do in this game is we compare what we expected versus what we got. And we call it expect-gettions. It's the marriage of the two. Expect, got, expect-gettions. Trademark, Fallingtower.
Yeah.
Patent
There it is. There it is. We got that on shirts, bumper stickers, babies' bottoms, you name it.
We should, actually. That's a good idea.
Okay, so here we go. We compare and contrast what we expected versus what we got, starting with Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. Before you watch this first episode, without giving anything away, what did you expect, if anything?
I actually expected nothing. Like thinking back now, like before I watched it, I expected nothing. I didn't even look at the synopsis. I was like, I'm just going to go into this blind. I'm just going to watch this show and see what I think. But now thinking back, I feel like I did hear that there was like a black superhero show on the CW or something like that. This show actually came out, I believe, in 2017. And I think my wife and I got rid of our cable in like 2015 or 2016. So we wouldn't have had any opportunity. I don't know if this was on Netflix already at that point, but it kind of went right over my head before I watched this show. So I had no expectations.
Kasturi Marie.
Let's see what kind of gettions I had.
What did you expect before you watched this episode?
What did I expect? Not what did I desire from it?
Correct.
But what did
What did you expect? If before you watched it, did you know anything about it? Did you expect anything?
Well, this particular superhero show, no. I had expectations based on old comics, like old Marvel Stan Lee comics that depicted a lot of like Afro superhero characters. So this is like not a real uncommon thing. So I thought that it was going to be more in the style of how he kind of made those characters, whereas they were kind of, although obviously they're clearly Afro characters, the way that he built the world, they were just superheroes. They were superheroes like any other superhero. They didn't have any other extra title in front. They weren't, they weren't Black or African superheroes. They were superheroes. So when watching this, I was expecting it to be more general to that, but I was actually kind of enlightened to see that it was very specific to the community. To the African
I think you're
community.
sneaking into what you actually got. That was a close one.
Oh,
that was
okay.
That was a close one.
Whew, sorry, I'm gonna stop there.
We all do it. Here we go. So I'll tell you, everybody, what I expected before I watched it. Very similar to both of you. I didn't know anything about it. It did sound familiar. Like I felt like maybe I'd heard about it when it first came out, but other than that, I didn't know anything about it. I feel like our buddy Rico said that it was good, but as we all know, Rico says that about everything. So I wasn't really sure. I'm pretty sure I did. And that's really all I knew. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't know what to expect. And I like that. That's the best way to enter a show a lot of times. Is I don't know if it's a comedy. I don't know if it's super high drama, tons of action. I don't know if it's a pre-existing franchise or if it belongs to Marvel or DC. But that's what I expected. Michael,
yeah.
What did we actually get? What did you actually get?
Well, I'll tell you what we all actually got is this is a DC show.
I knew it.
I kind of like while I was watching it, I thought, okay, this seems a little DC. I mean, I feel like if it were Marvel, I would have heard of it because I am more of I'm not a huge superhero guy in general, but I've become more of a superhero guy thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so most of the superheroes that I know are from the Marvel side. But as we have been reviewing shows, I have seen more DC characters, and like Doom Patrol, I'm all about. I love Doom Patrol. If you haven't seen that one, check it out. But I haven't really seen, beyond like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, like those Justice League staples. I haven't really seen a lot of the other DC characters. And when I was watching this, it starts out like sometimes like when they start off a show, it goes right into like some kind of action to kind of get you hooked. But this show started out, I believe, just kind of like it just opens in a police precinct and he's there to pick up his daughter. And it just all seemed very normal and very regular until he gets pulled over by the police. And then you start to see the flash in his eyes. You start to like see, okay, this guy's got some kind of powers. But then after it really started going and he actually became Black Lightning again, started like wrecking shop at that gang club and like going to the motel and like ruining everything with his superpowers. Man, I was into it. I was like, this is worth the price of admission for me. This is what I mean, I guess that's not what I expected, but it's what I hoped for. And that's what I had gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, I agree with you. And even the style, because I initially, because of just the idea of there being, this Black superhero show, I immediately thought, oh, this is going to be like one of the Stan Lee characters, because he was very, in that way, ahead of his time. He was very focused on things that were going on in the world and inclusivity and that sort of thing. So that's immediately what I thought. And then watching it, like, I agree with you. It felt very DC. Like
Mhm.
100 in that moment, I knew it wasn't a Stanley Marvel character. I knew it was something else because it was so specific. It was so on the nose. And those the Marvel Universe kind of characters and stuff are usually there's things intertwined. There's a meaning behind a meaning, but usually it's vague in that sense. And the focal is superheroes being superheroes, whereas this had a lot of focus on certain subjects, certain topics, certain matters, certain things that go on. I don't want to tell anything, but so it did definitely have that DC vibe, that real on the nose, this is about this, we're clear type of thing. So
not to parrot too much, but about 1/4 of the way down, this is what I actually got. 1/4 of the way down in my notes, I put an asterisk and I said, this feels like DC to me. It's so funny how they have this style, which is just dark and gritty and like Gotham. It just felt like Gotham City, it had that. And it's so funny, but I didn't check. I didn't want to peek, I just kind of went up, but it is confirmed now that it is DC, right? That's funny.
I didn't look until after the thing was over. And then I was like, wait a minute, is this DC or Marvel or some other?
It definitely feels
so much. DC. They just have this certain kind of stamp where as soon as you start watching about 5 or 10 minutes in, you're like, this has got to be DC. This is a DC show, not a standalone thing like The Watchmen was. The Watchmen was that was a movie or something.
No, it was certainly not first.
No, I mean like it's not. The Watchmen is not Marvel or DC. They're their own franchise, is what I mean.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, HBO, because they're on HBO. Okay, yeah, that's right.
WTF Watchmen, somebody.
But I thought that was a movie. Isn't that a movie?
It was a movie originally, but then they made a series out of it.
A series.
Okay. Then
But
originally it was a comic book.
Also felt a little DC also, so I could see how that confusion is there for sure. It had that dark element, the cinematography, how they shot it, very similar for sure.
So that's what I got. I got a DC show. I'm not usually too high on DC, sorry to say. I don't watch many DC movies. I believe I've seen 5 DC movies. I saw
there's the original Superman movies.
Yeah, the first 3 Superman movies from whatever that was, the 80s. I saw the first Michael Keaton Batman movie from like 89 or 90. And then I had a nice 20 or so year break, nice long hiatus, and I watched Wonder Woman. So whatever that was, the first one a few years ago.
You haven't seen any of the other Batman movies?
Nope.
What's wrong with you?
I'm not. It just I don't know. Doesn't quite. I liked Super Friends when I was a kid.
Well, the second Batman movie has Danny DeVito as the Penguin, and that one, like the second Michael Keaton Batman movie.
Yeah,
that one's really good.
I mean, that's cool. And I know there's Dr. Freeze, Mr. Freeze guy, and like the fourth
that
one
was not good
with Arnold. And then there's also like a Poison Ivy. I mean, I know what's
that was
going
the same
on.
Movie, and that was not a good one.
Anyway, so so this movie, this show, this episode to me personally was a mixed bag because it had a lot of potential, but like a lot of times I didn't feel like they executed it well. I feel like they have a really good story and they have really good characters and they have enough to get you really excited, but man, and I'm playing armchair writer here, but I feel like there were a lot of scenes that could have been cut out. I feel like some things could have been focused on more. And I feel like this is one of those series, and who knows, that gets better with time, because I feel like they try to cram way too much in the first episode. Yeah. And then once everything's crammed in, then after starting in the second episode, it could just go and fly and be really good.
Yeah.
The Watchmen was published by DC.
Oh, it is DC. Okay.
Yeah, I thought maybe. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Then I won't watch.
Usually, like these independent, like even like what is it? What is the show that we watched on Netflix with the kids, superhero kids?
Stranger Things?
Not that one. It was like a school or something like that. Like
Sense8. Is it Sense8?
Well,
Brian did not like it.
oh, I don't like
It had
anything.
Elliot Page when she was Ellen Page, she was Ellen Page.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember that wasn't Doom Patrol then, right? That wasn't.
No, it
District-
wasn't Doom Patrol.
District 9? No, it wasn't District 9.
Right now,
yeah.
everybody is yelling it out at their screens.
I didn't just look back through my notes here.
Yeah, I'm looking too, and I don't see it yet.
Kids in a school that have superpowers.
Umbrella Academy. I mean,
Umbrella Academy.
That was an independent comic, but it was published by DC too. So I don't think it really matters.
Those are like
Yeah,
mid-20s.
yeah, they were
I guess
kids,
they started
but
out
they're
as
also
kids,
adults. Yeah.
Yeah, they show a lot of them as kids though too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on.
Oh, I thought you had
Right.
more to say about that specific about that.
Well, no, that was published by
Oh.
DC as well. So I mean, like, I don't think it matters necessarily who publishes it, even though like it seems like the big two are Marvel and DC. So it's going to be published probably by one of those two, just because they have the publishing power, the distribution, all like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
then can we just talk a little? No, go ahead, Kasturi. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, to just piggyback on what you said, and it was kind of my initial thought and feeling too, in terms of them cramming and it just being, there were more creative ways things could have been done, and there was a lot of like telling opposed to showing. So I agree with that. I'm like, we could see some of the stuff that you're telling us is here. We can see that. So like, let's just keep, going with the excitement. Let's keep going with the story. Let's keep. Yes, I get what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because I just felt like there was a lot of, and this is Janice. She's the smartest kid in class and also gets straight A's. And this is Billy. He is the best athlete in this, like this whole, it's like, if the character's smart, just write her smart and we'll figure it out. If the character is athletic, just show her doing athletic things and we'll figure it out. I also felt like that scene where we meet the mob boss, the dude with the shaved head, Tobias. Yeah.
Oh, with the orange kind of
So
hair.
He almost looked like an albino, like a black albino or something. I don't know.
So I thought that we didn't need any of that introductory scene with him at all. I thought, what did we learn? That there was just this guy, right? Okay, but we see that in practically the final scene. I think they should have cut all that out and only introduced him in the final scene. You see Latavius, you see him get brought in by those two people, right? Then you go, oh, who are these two people? Why are they picking him up? What's going on? Then they bring him in. You meet this mob boss and he just goes like, you're in trouble now. And then that ends. I feel like that's enough. We get it. He's the boss. He's the big bad boss. Latavius is scared of him. You didn't need all that other intro stuff. And I felt like they did that a lot. They just kept introducing these characters. They introduced like 15 characters. I'm like, just give us like 7 in the first episode.
Maybe.
And then grow from there.
I mean, I honestly.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you.
I honestly preferred the character at the end, the big mob boss guy. I actually thought we could have done with less of Latavius. I found the mob boss guy more intriguing, more interesting, more electric. And so I think he went more with the feel of the pilot episode than the other guy did. Like the other guy's a typical gangster / not really a gangster / the second, the bottom guy, the right hand to the man. The man I found actually more captivating. And it's your pilot episode. It has to be exciting. The characters have to be bold and they have to bring something so that we want to continue watching. So I think that they could have really done well with actually incorporating more of that mob guy and less of the Octavius or Latavius guy, who was actually more similar to a lot of the other characters, just to have some dynamics.
Yeah. So one thing that I picked up on, because I was like taking copious notes, is when Jefferson Black Lightning went to go see Gamby, he's like, oh, let's think about why Black Lightning was invented in the first place. And he says, to give people hope, to give evil something to fear, to kill Tobias. The crime, the crooked politicians. So I guess at that point, we're supposed to think that Tobias is dead already. And so it's kind of a shock when later you see that he shows up. But I think that if you're just watching it casually and you're not really paying that much of that close of attention, you might have missed that line.
I did.
I know Ryan. I know this guy.
Yeah, I actually didn't catch that, and I think what really more solidified me not catching that is toward the end where he thought Black Lightning was dead. So in my head, I'm like, they both think each other are dead. So then I was like,
that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting twist that Tobias is alive, and then that Tobias thinks that he killed Black Lightning. Although, how are you going to kill Black Lightning? Come on.
Yeah.
He can harness the lightning even when there's no rain.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see more of, was the lore of Black Lightning and how he got his powers and him as a superhero and all that. Instead, we got 5 minutes with a lady in a pink shirt saying, "Hey, we need to institute more rules in the school." And I'm like, okay, that's not why I watch superhero stuff.
Well, I found that refreshing because most every superhero show that you watch, they're always going to start with the origin story.
Yeah.
This show, I'm sure they're going to get into it a little bit, but I think also really this show is the origin story of his daughter's powers.
Which is really cool because throughout this show, I kept thinking, you know what he needs? A sidekick. I want to see a crew. I was like, a sidekick and maybe like a secondary sidekick, like a crew of like 2 or 3, and I just kept watching that. I'm like, yeah, he's going to get that one of the, I bet you somewhere down the line, he's going to get these things. And then at the very end, we get a hint. Nope, you don't have to wait to the 7th episode of the second.
I don't think you have to even wait till the very end, because when that douchebag kid comes to school with a gun to kidnap,
and she flips
Jennifer,
him,
the youngest kid, then the older daughter, she's like got some cool superhero powers already. She like just throws him very easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. But what's funny about you saying that is because both daughters do that. Both daughters do a thing where they're confronted with this, dilemma, and they fight their way out of it. So in my mind, initially, I was like, oh, well, these are like some kids that were put in martial arts, growing up, or these are, it didn't read to me as superhero powers. So I didn't initially even pick that up till the end when she's holding onto the sink and it breaks. And I said, in my mind, because he's such a strict father, the mom's yeah, I assumed, they were probably just taught self-defense, it didn't, but I think they were teasing at that. I think it was supposed to be meant to be like a tease that maybe there's something more.
Speaking of tease, let's talk about who our favorite character is. This is something that, boy, we really like to get in on.
Yes, this is Ryan's favorite. And this is a segment that we like to call Favcac.
Oh, right. We sure do.
Character.
We do we ever, you guys. I have that tattooed on the small of my back. So my favorite character, I actually couldn't narrow it down. I thought I had it narrowed down, but it turns out that I have 2. One is Tobias, because I'm a sucker for big bads, and the other one, and Kasturi and I are going to go battle to the death about this one. Oh boy. Lala Latavius. What? I said Lala Latavius. Who was your favorite character, Kasturi? And why is it Latavius?
Good one. He's actually he's actually my least favorite character. So you have my favorite and my least favorite. Tobias, I think I made it clear earlier that Tobias is my favorite, talking when I spoke on how much I wanted him to be more present.
I thought you were just saying that Tobias more time.
Yeah, no. Anyways. So no, I was saying that because I genuinely felt that character had the most depth. I felt that character was the most mysterious, yet electrifying. There's something about a mysterious character, especially in a dark world like this one. It feels like the whole scenario was made for them. Like, this is their environment, this is their vibe. So when you find a character who has the same vibe as aesthetic, I think it's there's something exciting about that. So Tobias is definitely my favorite, and other guy was my least favorite.
Well, the character that I found the most electrifying was Black Lightning. I mean, he's
Electrifying,
got the
sure.
electric powers. And
Shocking, Michael.
shocking,
Why
yeah,
don't we
static
say that?
shocking. Well, yeah, I mean, I liked his powers. He's just such a strong presence, and he's like, my daughter's in trouble, I'm gonna go get him. And his wife is like, yeah, okay, I'm cool with it now.
Ex-wife.
Yeah, ex-wife, his ex-wife. I mean, they still have something going on there, though.
Yeah,
But
the
the character that I definitely want to learn more about is Gamby.
Gambit.
He's like the Black Lightning's Q character, the guy who creates this cool superhero suit for him, and it's got armor now, so it can block bullets, so he doesn't get shot up and have to go. I mean, he still got shot up a little bit, but he doesn't have to get all shot up and knifed up and just have to have his blood going down the drain or soaking up in the tub. That character.
Cool. How cool was it when he was using his armor to block from getting shot?
Right.
I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And gang members too. He's like, you can get all the bullets, I'll not get them. I don't feel like getting shot up today.
Right.
Yeah, but so Gamby though he's the guy that can create him all sorts of cool superhero weapons too, maybe in future episodes.
That'd be cool.
Or, yeah,
Like some gun whip lasers, like the Ferengi.
Yeah, he's like
Exactly.
I feel like he's like the Don Cheadle to Iron Man.
Yeah.
Kind of. And that's something that I think is intriguing also. I would love to see more of him as well.
Mm.
That's
I had
my
a couple.
cack.
I had a couple laugh moments, and this is not a comedy, but I'm still going to find moments to laugh anyway. One was when the bouncer calls Black Lightning Bojangles. I actually rewound that to hear it twice. It's like, he just called him Bojangles. I love that.
Who's Bojangles?
I don't know, but he likes to dance.
Ah.
It's a song. Yeah. So the other one was when, who was it? It was one of the little bad guys, that was messing with the daughters. The guy that pulls out the gun. He says, this ain't over. And I was like, you cannot have the first episode of a superhero show without the line, this isn't over. I mean, that should be on a t-shirt. This isn't over. And then a picture of like every superhero ever.
Yeah, basically.
This ain't over. Right, Michael?
I'm trying to find out who Bojangles is.
Yeah, me too. I'm like still curious about that.
Mr. Bojangles is a
likes to
song
dance.
written and originally recorded by American country music artist Jerry Jeff Walker for his 1968 album. It was also covered by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Sammy Davis Jr., and Christian McBride Big Band.
Of course.
All right.
Michael, did you have any moments that made you laugh in this show?
No, I didn't find it funny. I found it exciting when Black Lightning starts kicking ass. So I think it was funny how the gangbangers thought that they could fight Black Lightning.
Or
What
the
makes
fact
you
that
think
they
that?
know who he was.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kasturi? Did anything make you laugh out loud in this show?
I cannot say that I had a chuckle at any moment. No, I thought that it was the tone was meant to be more dramatic, more serious. So I didn't find. I mean, there were some cringy things, some things that made me cringe a little.
Let's hear the cringy things. Let's hear the cringy.
Yeah. I think that there was a lot in this that was real cliche. There are a lot of things that I felt like were taking us away from the fact that we're watching this superhero like show that's exciting and there's all this action, and just kept like the focus a lot on what their purpose for creating this show. And I think the setting wasn't the problem. Where they wasn't the problem. These are problems that happen in, places everywhere. But for me, I just kept feeling like the whole Black superhero agenda was pushed when it was apparent, like, we're not blind. So I think the cliches were meant to push that narrative, to push that agenda more. And so I think that's what kind of like put me off in certain moments and kind of made me a little cringe, like, oh, this is definitely something you'd see in the Boondocks, not in a DC, like kind of thing where it's like,
WTF Boondocks.
Yep.
We haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Oh, that would be fun. I want to be present for that one. Do not do that one with that one. But anyway, I just felt like it was they were forcing this, their concept, their idea down our throats. Like, yeah, I'm excited to see it. Yeah, we're glad that it's progressed, and that we have this now, because there were times where we didn't have representative characters. And so I think it's really cool. But I think to make it all about that, and then to make it the cliched version, which is kind of like, it's a little cringy. The whole, let's bring them to a motel to, I guess, sell themselves.
Hoe it up.
Yeah, to hoe it on up.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
It was a little weird. It was a little cringy. And I was like, all right, cool, okay. Well, going with it. But let's hope that it, it kind of becomes more realistic or less of that later. Because that's not all that people of color represent. And
less of that and more fighting Tobias, huh? That's what you want.
I do.
And I think that's where it's going to. But I think like cliches in, first of all, this is a CW show, so I'm sure they didn't have the best writers in the world for superhero stuff. But
shots fired.
They didn't have I'm sure they didn't. Well, like CW did like Smallville and Supergirl and The Flash.
I haven't seen any of those.
I haven't seen any of those shows either.
Diaries, which was phenomenal.
Haven't seen that.
No, I haven't seen any of those. But
WTF,
cliches
all of those except for Vampire Diaries.
Cliches though can serve as a kind of a shorthand, and I think that's what otherwise this first episode could have been like 2 hours long if they took their time with it and like really explored it, instead of just kind of saying, oh, here's gang members shooting things up and forcing people to be prostitutes, and which neither of those things are things that I would like.
I think sometimes in these kind of instances, like I'm watching it and I'm thinking that that's a negative, like the cliche or the thing that's on the nose. But then on the other hand, I think, well, you know what? That's kind of what superhero shows and superhero comics are. They're like these artistic cliches, like I said, like Gotham City or Superman, or it's very cliche. And that's what helped me to think, oh, this must be DC, is because to me it felt like this was like a different version of like a Gotham City. And it's almost like in these kind of shows, the city has its own theme, it has its own vibe, its own feel. So they kind of introduce the setting. And so, a lot of things were on the nose, a little cliche, and a lot very unbelievable in a lot of ways. But that's what the setting is. That's the world in which they live. That's their Gotham City. That's their little place. Doesn't necessarily mean it's enjoyable to watch, but that's what made me think, oh, this definitely must be a DC thing. And this makes me feel like this has got that superhero vibe.
Well, let me tell Ryan why he's wrong. So Superman is definitely very cliche, because he's like the ultimate good guy. The
that's
Boy
what I was
Scout
saying.
never does
Superman is the
anything wrong.
cliche, yes.
But Batman, on the other hand, is very not cliche. He's very complex. He's an orphan. His parents died.
They all have a dead parent that they're avenging, or dead parents.
I guess Superman has dead parents, so he's not
they
really trying to
it's all that's a cliche.
But I'm saying Batman himself he's outside of the law. Like Superman's very by the book, very inside the law. Batman goes against the law. He'll say, okay, well, law, you're not doing a good enough job, so I'm going to do your job for you.
Like Spider-Man.
I think Black Lightning is a little bit like that too, because he's very conflicted because he gave that life up. He didn't want anything to do with that life, and now he tries to get out, and they just pull him back in. You know what I mean? Like they just try to. He's forced. His hand is forced to become Black Lightning again.
Yeah, and I agree with you in that sense. I have I would say the opinion of the merge between the two of both of your opinions, because agreed, absolutely. Like there's multiple dynamics and facets that you could add to a character that makes them unique in and of themselves. But then there's also, the location, the geography, geographically where they are. But then again, I've seen this same setting, the same community, they're in the hood, they got the gangsters in many other instances in the superhero world, but that did not just embody a ton of stereotypes. Like there's cliche to superheroes, there's cliche to a genre, and then there's cliche to a stereotype. Mm-hmm. So they are trying to highlight the culture of what it would be like to be a Black superhero. So they automatically just go 100% to let's find every stereotype of like Black in the hood, opposed to let's take the hood and then create this world, this authentic world, or a cliche to superhero world, because there's so many different types of superhero worlds. So there's a lot they could have pulled from, and I just felt it was really stylistically and in terms of content and in terms of what they were trying to, bring to it. It felt really cheapy in that sense, content wise, and very lazy, I think.
Yeah, I can see
There's
that.
a lot
Those are excellent points.
Well, speaking of unique characters and not speaking of lazy, Kasturi, let's talk about you for a moment, shall we?
Hey!
Okay.
And the reason we need to specify not lazy is because you are always working. You're always doing a million things. You wear a lot of hats. Not literally. Your hair is awesome.
We usually not fit a hat on my head, so I don't have any hats, but definitely understood where you were
But
going.
Figuratively, absolutely.
Yeah.
And question number one for you, for somebody that wears so many figurative hats, is as an entertainer, what's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing about being an entertainer, I would say just making people happy, making people excited, getting people kind of energized and just ready for the world, because that's how I feel when I watch entertainers. I get excited. I'm like, oh, after that concert, I'm ready for anything. After that show, I'm ready to go right. Inspiration. Inspiring. That's my favorite thing about being an entertainer.
As a DJ too, inspired. By the way.
Yeah.
So you like to pump people up when you're DJing, right?
I do. I love to. When I'm DJing, when I'm performing, if I'm singing, no matter what I do, I bring that energy. I bring that inspiration. That's why I chose dance music as my artistry, as my genre, because it just gets people excited and happy no matter what you're going through. You can go to a show or you can hear dance music and you're just inspired to come out of that, and to go into something new and exciting. And that's what I love.
Now, I saw you recently posting about doing all kinds of crazy stunts and flipping all over the place. Somebody kicked you and you unwound the rope and flew like 20 feet into a mat and doing all. You don't lead with your stunts. You don't go around saying I'm a stunt performer, but you do some legit stunts. What kind of background do you have on that? Did you take gymnastics or kickboxing, or did you just always fall downstairs when you were kids?
I still fall downstairs. Actually, I fall up the stairs, which is ironic. But no, actually, from a small kid, myself and all my brothers, we were put in Taekwondo, and my brothers had black belts, red belts. I only got up to like orange, but turns out I'm the most athletic, interesting enough. And then so when I kind of got into the world of film, TV and film, and I went to a film school that actually had a martial arts and stunts for television and film program.
Yes.
And that's when I realized, like, wow, what? Like, you can incorporate this into this. Like, there's more to this than just, oh, they're just hired a martial artist who, like, you know, knows poses. No, it's like an actual craft and a skill. And I got involved, and for years I trained. And I now had something to add on to, you know, my acting resume, my acting reel. Now I have something special, something unique, and something fun, something that I love to bring to the table. So yeah, that's how that happened.
Is that the most recent thing you've acted in? That was just like a couple weeks ago, I think. But what have you done most recently?
Most recently, my latest project was Shonda Rhimes' Inventing Anna, which will be coming to Netflix this year. So
yeah, that's new.
Keep an eye out for that. It's going to be amazing. So I had a little feature and had some cool things to say. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
Nice.
But, it's based on a true story, Anna Delvey and her rise to fame and riches by conning the world. And so, yeah, definitely go check that out on Netflix. It's going to be great.
Do you have any special acting skills beyond your amazing high-flying karate chops?
Beyond that, I mean, that's probably my best attribute in terms of like special skills, martial arts and stunts, stage combat. But I'm actually joining the world of tricking. So I'm just kind of getting into that, which is really cool.
Of what?
Tricking.
What does that mean?
Tricking,
Michael, we can edit this part out, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm interested. I want to know what tricking is.
I'm scared.
It's similar. It's in the family of parkour. So yeah. It's not martial arts. It's not. You can do stunts that incorporate tricking, but it's its own monster, like jumping from like building to building and
trick
rolling.
Shots or something, or
I'm sorry.
I've seen like trick shots, but it's not that, or it's something different than that.
Oh, trick shots. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with what a trick shot is.
It's like people take a ball and then like bounce it off a bunch of things and lands in a cup.
Yeah.
No, yeah, couldn't be more opposite, not related. No.
You are the ball flying off the walls.
Right.
Yes. Oh, well, okay, you could say it's relative in
so it's
that
like
way.
ninja stuff is what you're really talking about, right? You're basically a ninja.
Yes, you are. Exactly.
So, lastly, you are also a screenwriter. This I have not seen any of yet. What do you like to write about?
Yeah, I actually just took a break from a lot of other things to be able to focus in on screenwriting. And the genres that I typically tend to write about are sci-fi, action, thriller, horror is the huge one, and they're all kind of relative in a sense. They're very, very different, but it's easy to be able to intertwine them in the kind of same stories, same storyline. So that's what I love about all those genres is because they all kind of embody what I like to create, which is like that kind of eerie, mythical, jump scares, all of it kind of in one. Sci-fi, horror, thriller is my world, is my vibe. I sometimes dabble in coming of age, but even when I do, I like to keep it a little dark and to bring elements from horror, thriller, and add a little action and make it really exciting so that it still kind of fits my style. Like I grew up reading and watching vampire books and movies and lots of mythology. My favorite subject is world mythology. So
nice. Very good.
In the world of writing.
I'm pretty sure Michael is also in the same boat like I am, where that kind of stuff is very cool.
Ah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
All right. Well, speaking of things we love, it is now time for, by the way, Kasturi, with the sunlight coming in, not only does it look cool on your hair, but when you move your hands forward, you actually look like you're Black Lightning because your hands like look at.
Oh.
Hey, maybe they'll cast me.
Yeah, they should.
I'll be lightning girl.
She can do stunts. She can fix your script. She can do whatever you want. It's time for
we'll put all our information in the comments below and in the description box below.
Yeah,
so go check her out, people.
They've already heard of her. She's big time. But yeah, and Michael's going to do a karate chop for us so that we know that it is time for the bottom line, aka the terrible twos. It's the final 2 questions of the show. It's also the 2 most important questions of the show. So that's why it's the bottom line. Who knew?
Bottom line.
Question number 1 is, it's a toughie. Kasturi's like, oh God, when she hears this question, she Question number 1 is, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Black Lightning?
I would give this first episode a 7 out of 10. 7 stars out of 10 stars. 7 thumbs up out of 10 thumbs up. Like once it really got going and we really got to see Black Lightning in action, I was in. I was all in. I was like, let's watch this. This is what I want to watch.
Nice.
Sorry, I was just making a note of that. Okay, so 7. I was right on with you. That's what I was picturing, a 7. 7, 7.
You didn't
7.
say that up front, so
because you get mad when I say a specific number. That's why I try to describe it with words, but I'm not really eloquent enough. But I was thinking 7.
Sometimes when he gives the specific number, I'll like change my score so it's different than what he said.
Just to teach me a lesson. Kasturi, I'm going to see if the number in my head matches what you say. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Black Lightning?
Well, how do I know you're not cheating? How do I know you're not just going to say you guessed it right?
Okay, I was going to say 4.
Maybe. Well, initially, my first thought was a 4, but
look at this guy.
But she said
before you mentioned that you were going to guess, I had already changed my thought because I thought
no, I don't know.
Into a 5. I said I'm going to give it a 5 because there was a lot missing. There wasn't enough explored. A little bit lazy, in my opinion, in terms of topics and vibes. But I gave it a solid 5 instead of the 4 because I thought it had a lot of potential. I would love to see more, even though I felt like there was a lot that I didn't get from it, a lot that I was missing, that I was lacking. And I think that's because I went into it with the expectation of an old school Stanley Marvel Black superhero character. So I think so in that case, in that spirit, I'm going to give it a 6 because I'm biased.
Keep her talking. We're going to get a 7 pretty soon.
Fair. Yeah, it's not fair to have. Yeah, I had an expectation. So I would say a 6. A 6.
Very good.
That's my final answer.
6.9.
I'm pushing it. I would say a 6.
She's like, back to a 5, asshole. It's back to a 5 now. Yeah, I think this is a show in which the series itself is better than the pilot, and that happens sometimes when they're not necessarily confident in an existing fan base. Sometimes when you have an existing fan base, they're way too confident. They don't give you much information because they're like, they already know. They read the books, they played the video game, and we're like, we haven't. You need to still write a good episode. This is the other way around, where they weren't confident that people would know about it, so they tried to cram everything in. And it felt like it felt a little herky-jerky. It felt like a little too much. But I think that the show itself is going to be better because clearly it's a fun idea and it's cool, and we've got the sidekicks that I was already hoping to get by the second season. We're getting that right now.
Definitely want to see more, especially after having this conversation.
Wait. Oh, wait. What? Oh, man. I should not have drifted off there. because I was thinking about my number. So here we go. Oh, and the
second question.
The reason I knew that Kasturi didn't like it is because when we were talking on the phone, by the way, I was like, "Oh, we're doing Black Lightning," and she's like, "Oh, that show is terrible, but okay." So I was like, "I don't tell me. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me."
Eater, and did I say terrible?
Yeah, but I'm glad you gave it a chance and watched it a second time and enjoyed it more the second time because
I actually did. I enjoyed it more the second time around, and I'm gonna watch some more. Yeah, for sure.
Brian, what's your score?
We just did it again. My score is also a 6. I was going to brag about being in between the two of you, but now I can't because Kasturi moved hers up. So I'm just a 6 like Kasturi. Okay, now is the even more important question. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Black Lightning. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
I would. I'm very interested to see the daughter's powers come to fruition, see those mature, and see them become superheroes in their own right. So I would definitely watch the second.
Kasturi, we might be able to guess, but why don't you tell us if you would watch the second episode of your own volition?
I think I'm gonna skip on over to first episode, season 2.
Interesting.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. That's my goal. Because I want to see just where it's developed, from them getting feedback, I'm sure from the audience, from them watching back, and from them critiquing themselves. I want to see some growth, and I think I'll probably get that around season 2.
But you might miss out on Tobias.
Well, if I do, I'll have to go back. Yeah, I'll have to go into a Reddit kind of thing and find out where the episodes Tobias is predominant in and go watch those.
Mm-hmm. So technically that sounds like a no. Yeah, wow.
But a yes for season 2. I'm today actually. I'm gonna start season 2 and see if they change my mind.
Really interesting. That's really similar to my answer because I don't want to watch the second episode. I'm very curious, but I'm
hardly ever does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, but I'm more curious about the story than I am in actually sitting down and watching more of this. So yes. I don't know if I'll watch the first episode of the second season or go to a Reddit. I think I'm just going to ask Rico and be like, and I know what he's going to say, dude, bro, you got to watch it. It gets better. You'll love it by the second season. All shit's he's going to say all this. And I'm like, why don't you just tell me about it? Like, tell me a little 45-minute story. I want to hear the story, but I don't want to sit through all that.
You can also just read Wikipedia, but
that's the other thing I do. I spoil it. I just read it.
Hardly ever will say that he'll watch another show. He's the curmudgeon. He's the old crotchety old man who says, "Oh, you better make these shows good for me, you kids, or I'm not gonna watch the second of them."
Wow, you're right. This is the 5th time in a row I've said no.
Wow.
The most recent one was episode 94. The most recent yes was episode 94. Wait, we shouldn't tell each other that, but go check out the Book of Boba Fett. That's episode 94. And guess what we said about it? Anyway, I think that's about it for us today, everybody. Kasturi, thank you so much for joining us. Boy, what fun it has been to watch your hands light up and your great insights.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed you guys, all your humor. This has been exciting. I'm so grateful and glad that you guys had me here. Don't let it be the last time. WTF Boondocks, guys.
Damn, she remembered. We did put that in the notes already, though. Okay, so that's great. Thank you for that recommendation. And everybody check out her goodies in the description box below and follow her and support all of her awesome stuff. And if you want us to review something, type in WTF and whatever you want us to review. Say WTF Boondocks or WTF Three's a Crowd, whatever. Where do we go from here, Michael?
I think we need to talk about what this podcast was.
I thought so. Okay. Whew. All right. So this podcast was loads of fun, and with 1 out of 3 of us with great hair.
Yeah.
Don't assume, Kester.
No, mine would be better, but it's falling out.
You
So
called me a 6, so maybe we're not talking about me.
No, it's
No, we are.
obviously you.
this podcast was electrifying, mostly from Kasturi's hands going into the sunlight and shocking us. Whoa!
This podcast was informational. Ooh, yeah. This podcast was enlightening.
Aha!
Thank you.
Nailed it.
Did that.
I thought we were going to go into an NPR voice after that. Well, now that you've learned the information of the day.
Nailed it.
Oh gosh.
So everybody, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. And remember, most importantly, what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Don't forget, people, to register to be an organ donor with Donate Life. Just go to their website and then choose your state and then register to be an organ donor. Even if you're already registered, it's tons of fun to go register again. Mm-hmm. And then after you're done doing that, don't forget to watch the first of things.